The president of Eritrea, His Excellency Isaias Afwerki, has made a statement. Focus and stop the useless discussions. This is his message to other African leaders in the recent events of summits and international meetings. Now, according to President Isaias Afwerki, most African leaders, when they are presented the opportunity to speak or to make a statement during international conferences and meetings, they focus on PR work and talking about the achievements and all these political talks. Well, today he is saying that they should be focused and talk about things that will bring more solutions to the African continent. Samuel Kase is here with us, and today we are going to talk about what President Isaias Afwerki said. Samuel Kase, what do you make of this statement?
I think that is a good call to action. It was long overdue that somebody really, call these guys to action. Because see, we are breaking free, okay? As you can see, Niger, Burkina Faso, we have Sudan, Guinea. We have Mali. So this is the time for us to sit down, okay, as an African, especially the leaders, they should sit down and strategically plan, the way forward. It's not time to, issue or maybe go for speeches, for everybody to know that you are intelligent. If you are, then indeed you must really put it in practice. So I think it's a good call to action. Yes, and he said that it's about time, that they stop telling other people what they have done. It seems that they are trying to use the international platform for political, interest. Okay. Yes. Okay. We have done this. We have done this. We have done this. We have done this. But you keep on begging. You keep on begging. So if you have done something, is it really enough? Is it sufficient for your people? So I think that is a good call to action, George.
I think it's a shot in the right direction. Let us go and listen to what His Excellency President Afwerki said, and then we'll come back and give our take on it.
This stereotype of everyone coming and making statements, PR statements about achievements, wouldn't make any sense. Let's be focused, okay? I will not talk about our achievements in agriculture, infrastructure, energy, water, and others. That will take time, okay? Now let's be focused. Occasions like this one, summits where people come, do their promotion about their achievements, and mostly PR exercise. Let's get out of this cycle, first and foremost, okay? I would like to focus on my own issue. Now people are talking about the resources of the continent, 60% of this endowment, 20% of this endowment. Why can't you mobilize your own resources rather than extend your hands for handouts and charity? Is there a way of mobilizing these resources in the continent? How do you mobilize these resources? Can you mobilize the resources of Niger that are going to Europe, uranium and what have you? What about the mineral resources of this continent? Are you mobilizing these resources for the development of the continent, for climate change? What are these resources? Everybody is talking about their achievements in their own locality, in their own national borders, without even addressing the real issues challenging this continent. Talk about the continent's challenge and try to find solutions for this challenge, okay? We're talking about climate change, we're talking about resources, you are talking about so many things. Don't divert focus on non-issues, okay? Now, do your homework, come up with a definition of your goals and objectives, strategize, go for detailed plans, and then come to mobilize resources so that you implement your programs. Otherwise, I don't want to waste your time and waste my time talking about our achievements in Eritrea. Try to talk about some of the issues mentioned on this summit. These billions coming to this continent from anywhere, Europe, Americas, or any other place, you are inviting intervention in your own affairs. And this money coming from there, billions and billions, will be siphoned back there. Make sure that you mobilize your own resources so that you can be enabled to benefit from resources coming from outside. The promises of billions is no good. Yeah. Again, it's the focus that we need to talk about. You're talking about corrupt governments and comparing them with the private sector and promoting the private sector, the private sector, the private sector. You put in place accountable governments, non-corrupt government that will use national resources for the development of the majority. This is not a matter of polarizing the private sector and the public sector. These classical arguments about the private sector, the public sector, not make sense at all. It's out of context. We need to be focused on this matter. We can't blame governments and bring non-governmental organizations to manage our affairs. That is phenomenal in Africa. Go everywhere. Non-governmental organizations are managing governments and discrediting governments and replacing them with what they call private sector. Can you imagine this makes sense to anyone? Now talk about serious things, okay? You want to implement programs, articulate your goals and objectives in the first place, okay? Strategize on how you can achieve these goals and objectives. Then go for detailed plans, sectoral plans or industrial plans, and then mobilize resource for that. Give these plans and the resources to reliable hands, accountable hands. Government or private sector doesn't matter. It's not a matter of being with or against that party. How do you mobilize these resources to implement programs so that you address climate change?
Thank you.
Yes, focus. Don't get us to some classical discussions about what the private sector can do or the public sector can do. Corrupt governments will not implement any program at all. So talk about real government. Yeah.
All right, so Samir is here. That was President Isaias Afwerki. I mean, it's a very powerful statement and a very bold statement to make in front of your fellow African leaders. Don't you think so?
Yeah. I don't know how they will be feeling. I don't know how they will be feeling. But you see, sometimes you need, such person, such individual to really call attention. I mean,
Mm,
I don't think that he meant bad or he meant, to really disgrace the other, African leaders. No,
mhm,
he really wanted to let them know that look, this is the time. Okay, this is the time when the political atmosphere in Africa is really intense, and
mm,
some countries are really wanting France out. We all agree that we don't
mm,
really need the Western influence anymore. So
mhm,
once you say you don't need a Western influence anymore, what are you strategically putting in place, okay, to make sure that you don't go back begging again? And you
mm.
see, over the years, we have seen Ramaphosa, for example, or I think on two occasions,
That's the president of
hitting,
South Africa.
yes, hitting consistently. He has been really consistent in talking about the money that the Western countries have promised and that they have not really delivered. I mean, must we do this? If somebody has
Mm,
promised you money, eh, the person has not really fulfilled the promise, please. So must you go about and complaining and that they should give you the? I think that all these things are not really necessary. So I think
mm,
that it was about time somebody really called a spade, and he did it. They shot in the right direction. I think that some of these speeches are really unnecessary. I mean, even the president
okay.
of Ghana, when he took power, he kept saying that Ghana beyond aid, Africa beyond aid. Now we see what is really happening. Going to
Mm,
IMF, and you can check the dollar rate compared to the cities. So you see, enough of the talk. Let's see the practical aspects, okay, of your talking, of your theory,
mm,
of whatever you believe in. Okay.
mm.
Just recently, Nana Dankwa also, made a speech during the UN meeting, uh, uh, and then he was saying that the UN is an unfair organization. So I was asking, oh, so you are now realizing it? Eh? So
After all these
some of
years.
these, yeah, yes, some of these speeches, we don't need them. Sometimes we are fed up. We are fed up with some of these speeches. We know that you
Mm,
guys are educated. Yes, you have, a lot of theories in your head. But please, this time we need individuals. We need presidents who will be, more practical than, speeches. So I think that,
mm,
yeah, I do agree. And I think that they shouldn't really make a case of this. I don't think we should make a case of this. What he said is the right thing. Okay, is
okay.
the right thing to do. We must focus and make sure that whatever we do there, okay, is strategically planned and then we get a result. That's what we're looking
All right.
for.
All
Yeah.
right. All right. This particular statement he made it at the just ended African Union's climate summit. And it is very interesting, when you mention President Ramaphosa, President Matamela Ramaphosa of, South Africa, and the fact that when in his speech at the United Nations General Assembly, he was saying that Africa had agreed to the, of course, Sustainable Development Goal, the SDG of, climate change, and the Western countries or the global North had promised a package of $100 billion to African countries to help them reach these sustainability development goals, especially on climate change. And President Ramaphosa made a statement that these Western countries have enough money to spend on war, but they do not have enough money to give to these African countries to support them in the quest for, sustainable climate. Now, having said that, it's also interesting that the president of South Africa says that, okay, now the package he thinks should be increased from 100 billion to 500 billion. $500 billion is the package that he is asking for to, to be able to realize all these climate change goals and all of that. Now, my question is, if you agree to a particular thing, like climate change in Africa, don't you agree to with looking at your own, condition and what you can do in your own capacity, other than agreeing to something and also looking up to someone to give you the money to do it? I mean, if you do not have the capacity to do it, why do you agree in the first place? Why? Why should it be that way? And why do you have to go insisting that they should give you the money? It means they give you the money and then they tell you what to do. And we will actually take a look at what President Ramaphosa said, especially this part of his speech, so that when we come back, I take your view on it, Samuel.
Now, these are the positive things. I do, Mr. President Macron, want us to address another issue, which to us is a bit of a negative. You will have heard President Sisi talking about the 100 billion that was promised in Paris. President Sassou Nguesso yesterday as well also spoke about it at the dinner. Now, there is that issue that a number of the commitments that have been made have not really been fully lived up to. But before I get into details, let me immediately say that we recognize the many initiatives that have been put on the table, and a number of countries here have done so. Germany has gone out of the way to put a number of initiatives, and the US has also done a number of things. But there have been times when we felt like we were beggars.
All right. So Samuel can say that was President Matamela Cyril Ramaphosa of South Africa. And what do you make of his statement? Just a quick one.
Well, Josh, I think that he has spoken. He has spoken. But you see, the question is, what has Africa really done, okay, to really contribute to solving these climate issues? Yes, sometimes you are vulnerable, but you don't have to show to people that you are vulnerable, because if not, they will take advantage of you. What can we Africans do to also support? That is what we should be looking at. Don't go about asking people, "Oh, what about the money you promised? What about the money you promised?" Who does that? Okay. So I think that it's about time we sit down and tell ourselves that, look, over the years we have not been contributing. We have not been making any reasonable contribution to solving climate issues. But this time, as Africa is taking a new turn, let's also sit down and see how we can, contribute, okay, to solving climate issues, so that the world, at last, will also respect Africa. Simple. I think that it's enough is enough.
Samuel can say, I
They should
think it's
stop all
not even
those
about.
ranting and stuff.
I think it's not even about necessarily Africa not making contribution. Africa has been making a huge contribution by not causing a lot of global warming. If you look at the percentages of global warming and the countries and the continents that release a lot of these carbon gases into the atmosphere, Africa as a continent is very, very, very well below the mark. If you look at countries like China, the United
I think,
States, you know,
Jo-
it
Josh,
yeah.
I will not call it a contribution. I think that I would say that we have not been causing it.
Yes,
Okay, because
we
our
have not
style,
been the
our
major
way,
cause.
yes,
Mhm.
because our way of living and our style, okay, doesn't really create a lot of, issues with respect to climate, problems. So we have not been causing it. Okay, they have been causing it. Okay, but at the end of the day, yes, we can also be of help. Yeah, they are asking for the money because of political campaigns. Because next year, don't forget next year, South Africa is going for election. Yes,
Yes.
next year in Ghana, Ghana is also going for election. So they are looking for money. Yes. So I think that is enough. It's enough is enough,
Okay.
sorry. And
Okay.
they should just come home, sit down, plan, and see how we can really develop the continent. Short, simple.
Okay. 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 Just to finalize over here, I think there was this particular part of his statement that he made during his speech at the UN General Assembly, which really caught my attention. I'm like, this is exactly what President Isaias Afwerki was talking about. President Ramaphosa said, of course, women should be represented at the UN General Assembly because he sees a lot of men over there. That is why when he was going, he took an all-women delegate, to the General Assembly meeting. I was thinking that okay, it's not bad to take women along, but of course it has to be based on merit. We cannot just be having some of these political statements. Oh, I took women. I'm the first, president to have taken an all-women's delegate to the AU General Assembly. For me, it's neither here nor there, right? You need to
Well,
take people who are qualified, people who are going to be strategic in your governance, not if they are men or women, because I think it is an insult to the people. I'm taking you along because you're a woman. That's it. I don't care how intelligent or how collaborative you're going to
you
be.
see, that's
It's
I
just
think
because,
I think it was a really defeatist talk. I mean,
yeah, it was a very loose
and
statement.
as I said, he has been really consistent, okay, about the money they promised. So, he is trying to employ all strategies to make sure that he get
It
that
looks
money.
attractive so that the
But
money will come in.
yes, what I would say is that we thank him for going with women. Simple.
Okay, okay. So thank you very much. Somebody can say if you found value in this particular video, please subscribe, like, share it with your friends, and then let's see you in the other video.